Well, good afternoon, everyone. It looks like it's sunny everywhere in the world today. I'm Sherry Stevens, and I am the owner and the CEO of the Women's Executive Network. I want to welcome you to our fourth and final session in Women, Wealth, and Wellbeing series, delivered by IG Wealth Management. And we are having an amazing group of experts today to talk about women generating wealth. I can't believe it's our last session. It's gone so fast. So now is the time to start talking about taking charge of your wealth. So thank you for investing in yourself today. We really appreciate you being here with us today, as we know there are so many other options for you. So thank you so much. So before we get started, I'd like to quickly review some housekeeping items. I'm hoping everybody can hear me all right. I'm calling in from Mississippi, and it's warm here today and 70 degrees, so I'll try to send some of that warmth to you. But I want to welcome you to our virtual platform. It's called REMO, R-E-M-O, and we're quite excited. We've been using it a lot. We used it last year at Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100, and it's really been a great platform for us. So I just want to let you know a few things about it. So during the presentation, right now where we're at is that your mic and your camera will be turned off automatically. So don't worry about that. That's normal. If you want to chat with people at your table or people that are here at the event, there are 3 chat functions. So the first chat is the general chat. So everyone in the building can see, including our panelists. So you can see everybody that is attending today. The table chat is for everyone at your table, so you can continue to network and to chat chat during the presentation. There's also a private chat, so it's a private message. So if you see somebody that you know, but they're not sitting at your table, but you want to reach out to them, you can actually find their name in the list on the right-hand side, and you can actually start chatting with them. So during networking breaks, after we're finished presenting on stage, your mic and your video will resume and you can chat face-to-face again. Please note, if you are getting any feedback or echoing, please make sure that REMO is only open in one tab. Okay, make sure all your other browsers are closed. There's also a really unique feature with REMO is the LinkedIn page. So it's on your profile page. You can actually upload your LinkedIn profile and people can link in with you right here on REMO. And then also to the left of the room, when you get back, you'll see that there is a bank of numbers, numbered 1 to 9. These are floors. So by just clicking on the number, you can move from floor to floor, which is kind of another unique feature of REMO. If you get stuck, there is a help desk and on the top right-hand corner of the floor plan. And my team is there and they can help you navigate through REMO. And also today, IG Wealth Management and WXN are very pleased to inform that we are offering remote closed captioning throughout the event. There is a link in the general chat box for viewers to access the captions in another window. So please check that out. It's a pretty amazing platform, so please feel free to check it out, navigate, just go around to the different tables, the different floors, and use the chat function. You're not going to break anything, so please just experience REMO. IG Wealth Management, our presenting partner for this 4-part series, passionately supports our mission of meaningfully propelling and celebrating the advancement of women at all levels, in all sectors, and all ages. Their entire team has also been an incredible resource and source of encouragement every step of the way. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes at IG and WXN for making this happen. For this series, IG Wealth Management has kindly provided the IG Lounge space. where you can network and find helpful insights and thought leadership about the IG Living Plan. There's a wealth handout, wealth careers, and how to find your personal advisor, and much more. Please look for them. The lounges are on either side of the floor plan. You'll see it is labeled at the top, IG Wealth Management Lounge. And now, it's my honor and my privilege to introduce our host for this four-part series, Alana Riley. Alana Riley is a Senior Vice President of Western Canada at IG Wealth Management. A successful, driven people leader known for building and motivating top-performing diverse teams, Alana boasts an expansive career in financial services. She's led teams of 1,000+ employees at estate and trust, retail banking, commercial insurance, healthcare, and small and medium-sized business lines. A passionate champion for diversity and inclusion, Alana is IG's National Chair for Women, Wealth, Wellbeing, and Diversity and Inclusion Steering Committee member. She holds a Master of Business Administration degree from Dalhousie University, blended with financial services, and currently serves as the Alumni Ambassador. Alana has also obtained a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Windsor and multiple professional designations. Alana is active in the community, serving on several boards, including Gordie Howe Cares and Children's First Canada. She also found InvestU, a not-for-profit strategically intended to create positive community impact. We are so pleased to have you here, Alana, and it's been wonderful working with you. Please give Alana a warm virtual welcome.
Well, hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for the very warm introduction, and thank you for joining us for the fourth and final webinar in IG Wealth Management Series, Women, Wealth, and Wellbeing, Empowering Women's Success in Partnership with Women's Executive Network. As mentioned, my name is Alana Riley, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Financial Services at IG Wealth Management, the largest independent financial planning firm in Canada, with advisors in every community from coast to coast. We are part of the IGM Financial and Power Corp family of companies. Every day, we are driven by our mission to inspire financial confidence that can transform the lives of our clients and their families, and we are deeply committed to improving financial literacy in the communities where we work and live. I'm thrilled to be your host today. As Sherry mentioned, we are offering remote closed captioning throughout the event, and we'd like to thank Joanne Anderson, real-time captioner, CART service provider, for enhancing our communication accessibility and engagement for everyone in our audience today. I'm joined by 4 fabulous female leaders and financial planning experts from across IG Wealth Management, and they are ready to share their stories and insights to help you take charge of your wealth. So let me introduce you to them. First up is Shawna Clark, Regional Director at IG Wealth Management. Shawna leads an expert team of consultants and certified financial planners in our Calgary North region. She is passionate about client experience. Her mandate is to grow our business as we deliver holistic wealth management advice. She works closely with our team, our partners, and our industry experts to ensure that well-constructed advice and financial planning that we offer to our clients is carefully executed. Shawna currently serves as a board director for Alpine, Alberta, and herself is a ski enthusiast in her free time. Next, I'd like to introduce Michelle Freeling, Division Director at IG. Michelle first started her career in accounting and quickly became skilled at developing procedures to ensure efficient financial operations for the companies she worked for across different sectors. She joined IG in 2011 and has earned a reputation for being trustworthy, caring, and extremely knowledgeable through her dedication to making a difference in her clients' lives. Michelle also serves as a coach and mentor for other financial advisors and is known for her philanthropic endeavors in her local community. Also on our panel is Anna Marie Rasmussen, Senior Executive Financial Consultant at Private Wealth Management and holds 5 industry designations. She first joined IG in 1995, beginning as an insurance planning specialist, and steadily expanded her expertise to provide comprehensive financial planning services. She is known for being caring, intuitive, and knowledgeable professional, and has continued her education throughout her career in order to deliver the most informed advice to clients. And our fourth speaker today is Christine Van Callenberg, Vice President, Tax and Estate Planning in the Advanced Financial Planning Department of IG Wealth Management. Christine earned her commerce and law degrees prior to being called to the bar in both Manitoba and Ontario. Before joining IG, she spent several years practicing tax law with a large firm in Winnipeg. Christine is a certified financial planner, a registered retirement consultant, a trust and estate practitioner, and is a member of the Canadian Tax Foundation. She's also a published author with her book, Wealth Planning Strategies for Canadians, which is currently in its 15th edition. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. And lastly, although we're virtual, we're still looking forward to it being interactive. So as you know, there's a question and answer box for you to answer or enter questions throughout the session today. We have two of our team members also online to be ready to answer your questions: Athena O'Brien, Senior Manager, Tax and Estate Planning, and Audrey Veltri, Consultant with IG Wealth Management. At the end, we will also conclude with a live audience question and answer period, so don't be shy. So let's get rolling here. We're going to start with a little ice breaker for everyone, but I mentioned absolutely thrilled to have this group together today to talk about what's near and dear to our heart, financial planning, and how wealth can truly be a source to empower women. The events of the past year have really highlighted the importance of having a solid financial plan in place. To kick things off, I'm wondering if each of you could share one thing that you've done in the past year to further enhance your own financial well-being, or one thing that you'd recommend to a client that may have been a different strategy that we potentially have used in the past. And Shawna, if you don't mind, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. I think 2020 and going into 2021 is a year that really taught us how valuable having a written financial plan is. I know in my family, one of the things that we started doing over the past year is really talking to our children about that plan. I think there's so much uncertainty in the world. My two daughters are in their late teens, so they're old enough to understand. And certainly, it was an opportunity for us to say, we're going to be okay. These are things that we planned and prepared for, and opening that conversation with them around financial planning.
Yeah, agreed. Very, very powerful throughout the generations for sure. Anna Marie, how about you? Oh, and you're still on mute.
Well, how many times a day and a week do I do that?
No problem.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we found fairly quickly that we weren't spending as much money as we usually do on lifestyle and on gas and clothing and those sorts of things. I was going to say bottles of wine, but maybe we are spending more on wine. Anyways, what we did very quickly was started to save that money. And we increased our deposits that we put into our accounts on a monthly basis because, if it's in your bank account, and I think we've all learned there are ways to spend money now without going into a store, a retail store. So we increased our deposits monthly, and many of my clients have as well.
Fantastic. Great advice. And, without having to get dressed up in our work clothes every day, that's certainly a great strategy too. Christine, how about you?
Well, in the estates world, the evolution of being able to access whatever sophisticated advisors you want virtually has really been a game changer. So I've been advising clients to take advantage of that. In the past, one of the barriers to getting good tax advice or estates advice is sometimes clients would say, oh, I don't want to go downtown, or I don't even want to go into a city at all. And now that has really been taken away because you can access pretty much any lawyer, accountant, financial planner, anyone you want from the comfort of your home. And I've always told clients the biggest mistake you can make is choosing the wrong advisor. So now you don't need to feel hampered in any way by who you can choose. You can pick whoever you want, and clients seem to be taking advantage of that.
Yeah, fantastic. And certainly opening up new opportunities for conversations. Michelle, how about you?
Well, I have to echo what the ladies have already said in that I found that for myself, this pandemic really helped me test the planning that I've been doing for myself as well as my clients. And at the end of the day, I feel like, the planning that we put into place has really done well. And I think the only different thing that I suggested to some of my clients as well as myself is, when we had that downturn, if you have extra cash, this is a great investment opportunity. And, as I think a lot of my clients and myself as well, I'm sort of putting a little bit into leaving it in cash just in case there's another downturn to have that opportunity again, should that ever occur.
Yeah, fantastic, and certainly great advice. So let's move on to one of my favorites, some rapid fire questions. So in one sentence or less, let us know what resonates you from a professional standpoint. Generating wealth or sustaining wealth? Christine, back to you.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people don't take enough advantage of insurance. They're not buying enough insurance. They're not understanding the benefits of permanent insurance and the tax attributes. So that's something that I talk to clients about a fair bit.
Fantastic. Anna Marie.
Well, I love both of those, depending who's in front of me and what the conversation is. But I think it's pretty exciting to generate wealth.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Make decisions to fine tune here and there to create greater wealth.
Okay. So sticking to the plan or evolving as you go. Michelle, over to you.
I would say evolving as you go. I absolutely believe in building up contingency plans and building flexibility into your plan. So you have to constantly evolve depending on how your situation changes.
Okay. And Shawna, over to you.
100% agree. A financial plan is a living document, and it should evolve as your life evolves and shifts. So evolving for sure.
We're just going to wait. I believe Alana had some technical difficulties, so I'm going to wait for her to log back in, and we'll resume with the session.
Sorry, can you see me and hear me, ladies? You can?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe just if in the general chat, if anyone can maybe just jump in and say that they can still hear and see us, that would be great, because we don't seem to be having, it's all good. Okay, thanks so much. Good, thanks, Karen. Okay, so we'll jump back over to it then. So most common financial goal, Anna Marie.
I think the most common financial goal might be something that you don't see if you search or Google the list, and that is help make the best decision. So whether it's buying a home, insurance needs, estate planning, retirement, it's just help me make the best decision for me and my family.
Love that. Fantastic. Michelle, back to you.
Well, I would say that in what I hear most of is I want to retire earlier than 65. Everyone thinks 65 is the regular day, and paying down debt. That's another huge one that I'm always dealing with.
Yeah, fair enough. An item that you find is most often missing from a financial plan, Shawna.
My temptation here is to give you a technical answer, because certainly we see, insurance, as Christine mentioned, is one of the items that's most often neglected. But I want to say that it's a focus on the now versus, most people's financial plans, which their primary goals are so far in the future. It's planning for how to enjoy our wealth while we're in the now.
Yeah, fair enough. And Christine, I don't see Christine. Did we lose Christine? Maybe.
It looks like we lost Christine.
Okay, so let's maybe just one more item that's often missing from a financial plan. Do you mind jumping in, Anna Marie?
I think it's the understanding of what a financial plan really is. So often people think it's your statement that shows what's in your pension plan or what's in your RSP. But that is just a statement. That's not a plan. So until someone had an experience working with a true financial planner, they may not know what a real plan looks like.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks for that. So maybe let's dig in on a few more lengthy topics here. And Shawna, we're going to start with you. Do you mind sharing with us some of the basics that we should all keep in mind when creating a financial plan? And do you find that there's any specific issues where women are to be in particularly need of when they're considering this?
Yeah, first and foremost, work with an expert. You know, like anything that you're endeavoring to plan for is worth planning well for. And I think, you know, as women, we take great care of our health. We work with doctors and fitness coaches and dietitians. That's the same level of care that you want to take when you're entering into financial planning. So make sure that you're working with an expert whose work is focused on financial planning. The Certified Financial Planner, or CFP designation, is the industry gold standard for financial advice. So by all means, look for that at any financial institution where you've got a relationship. The second, and I'll go back to something that Anna Maria just said, is know what a financial plan contains. Oftentimes we meet with clients and we ask about their financial plan and they say, yes, I've got a great financial plan. And what we see is a statement showing what their investments include, and oftentimes a retirement projection, just saying, you know, oh, I have this much money today, this is how much I'm going to have when I'm 65. Financial plans that are actually complete include all areas of your financial well-being. So, you know, if your financial plan only focuses on retirement, it's time to revisit that with an expert. And then secondly, make sure that you have goals that are aspirational and inspirational. You know, don't back down from those grand goals that sometimes seem scary, because those are the ones that keep us engaged and excited and motivated to continue sticking to the plan. So, you know, yes, write down that you want a cottage on the beach. Write down that it's your dream to start that business someday and be an entrepreneur. Those are the things that keep us excited to continue working on the plan. When it comes to planning for women, there's a statistic that I think is important for all of us because it's real, and it needs to be included in our financial planning discussions. And that is that women have to plan for more time than men out of the workforce. Early in our careers, those gaps are often related to having children and taking time away to be a parent. As our careers progress and we're deep into our earning years, women often take breaks from their career for caregiving obligations, either with a spouse or a parent. And lastly, women live longer. And so all of those things need to be accounted for when we're engaging in financial planning. So we either need to be prepared to save more money to prepare for those contingencies, or sometimes understand what it means to take on a little bit more risk to generate better returns in our portfolios, which is generally women are more conservative investors than men.
Yeah, fair enough. Lots of great points there. Absolutely. So thanks so much for sharing. We're going to move over to Michelle, and similar to what Shawna said, you know, data is showing that women on average are living about 3 years longer than men and have more career gaps due to the caregiving that Shawna mentioned. So how can this specifically impact women's financial well-being, and what are some of the few things that maybe women can do if they're concerned about those longer-term financial goals?
Well, I mean, again, to echo some of what Shawna was saying, you know, living longer means that you have more years to cover financially in retirement, and potentially more expenses in the later years if they aren't healthy ones. So, you know, a lot of times I'm bringing that up, and I know it's an uncomfortable conversation to have when you're thinking about what your life will look like down the road, but it's definitely one that is going to impact your finances. Career gaps as well result in, as mentioned, reduced savings, reduced CPP contributions, and lower RSP contribution limits. So that in itself will also compound the problem. So working with an advisor, I think you can start mitigating some of those issues because it's not necessarily how much you make, it's what you do with what you make. And so what women can do today, I think, is to just keep yourself educated, pay attention to your individual and joint finances, I would echo that when you're thinking about your future, don't be looking at just the bare minimum. Think big, because you may think that, you know, that'll never happen. And I talk to people all the time and say, I'll never retire. But at the end of the day, you will never retire if you don't have a goal to achieve. And if you can sort of visualize that down the road and build on that, we can, you know, put together either maybe saving more. I definitely recommend investing in living benefits with return of premium options, because that can be considered, you know, protection for today and forced retirement for tomorrow, retirement savings for tomorrow. There's, you know, long-term care and disability insurance that can also help mitigate some of those other reasons why we may have a break in our working lives.
Yeah, well said. I love the kind of consistency in the theme of setting those lofty goals. So thanks so much for sharing, for sure. Anna Marie, do you mind sharing with us some of the changes that come with major life milestones and how a financial plan can help our audience prepare for them?
Yeah, so when I think of what are the milestones, you know, typically they're buying a home, merging your financial picture with somebody else, a partner, starting a family, retirement, long-term care needs, and then the estate phase. And you know, for each person, it is, or family or couple, that picture looks different. So the way I look at it with these milestones, it's much like doing a puzzle. So you find the puzzle that looks like the picture you want to make. So you envision what your goal is with that particular milestone. What picture do you want it to look like? And then you know how you turn the box over, you get all the pieces on your table where you're not going to get interrupted. You have some time and space to make your decisions about your strategy. You turn all the pieces over. You have a strategy of finding the edges, sorting by colors, and it starts to come together for you. You get the edge, so that might be your boundaries. For example, if you're buying a house, what part of the city do you live in? How many bedrooms do you need? Are you close to your school or your church? That's your boundaries. And then the pieces in the middle, when you start getting the center assembled, and it comes in chunks, is the pieces that'll create the whole puzzle, and that picture comes together for you. So really, what is that analogy about? It's about goal setting, looking at what you have now, what do you need, how do you put those pieces together that you already have in your financial picture, the decisions you have to make. And then you know how when you're making a puzzle, sometimes somebody come over your shoulder and say, oh, look at that, that goes there. And moves things around for you. That's what your financial planner helps you do. They'll help you create the boundaries and sort and group, but they also say, have you thought of this? Or did you know this? And it all comes together. And then what's really important too is you step back, look at your masterpiece and enjoy it. And then a few years go by and you've got to pick out another puzzle to work on.
I love that analogy. That certainly resonated with me, and also the fact that I'll have you know, I did try to crack open a 1,000-piece puzzle here during COVID, but I need you to come over and help me with your expertise on both fronts on my plan too. So, Christine, let's jump over to you and welcome back. We're glad that you were able to get back in and join us. You know, I know you spend a lot of your time talking to clients around how they structure their estate plans and think about the future. So I'm wondering if there is any difference in terms of how women should approach estate planning.
Yeah, well, estate planning isn't really impacted by gender, but I do think that when I speak with women, although I agree with the longer life expectancy, you know, that does have an impact, but I do find that when I'm speaking to women who happen to be mothers, they're very concerned about taking care of their children. They're very concerned about people getting along. And it's not so much the amount of money that they're going to leave, but it's how it's going to impact their relationships and how people are going to get along in the future. And sometimes they almost get a little bit too specific. They want a will that says, okay, this person's going to get this and this person's going to get that. And they start to itemize everything. And, you know, I tell them, look, I realize it's hard as a mother, but you have to almost step back a bit and let them pick and choose what they want, because it's like when your kids are little, if you give one the blue track and one the red track, the one who got the blue track wants the red one, the one who got the red one wants the blue one, you can't win. So I usually tell people, you know, just leave everything in equal shares and let them pick and choose, but make sure that the amounts are large enough that if one of them does want a cottage or something like that, you know, they can take that portion. So I do think that they're very concerned about relationships and how that will impact the future.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing that. So, you know, let's maybe also share or discuss a way that you really gained financial confidence from your financial plan. And Michelle, let's start with you.
Well, I think in my case, I do, you know, they say that you should always do your own plan. And as a financial planner, just like a, you know, contractor, you don't really want to work on your own when you have already been doing it all day. But I actually do try and make the effort to review my plan annually. And for me, I know I can't retire tomorrow, for example, but I do feel like as long as I carry on and keep doing what I've shown in my plan, I will be able to retire with the flexibility that I have in mind for my retirement and my future.
Fantastic. Christine, how about you?
I find that every time there's one of these major events, it actually gives me more confidence and more ability to take risk. I've been in this industry long enough to have seen several market meltdowns, and they always come back. And so I think it just sort of gives you confidence that, yeah, it's okay. There will be some fluctuations, but if you're in it for the long term, I'm not, obviously if you have a short-term need, that's a different issue. But if you're in it for the long term, you can take a little risk.
Yeah, fantastic. Well said. Shawna, over to you. How have you gained financial confidence with your plan?
Yeah, I would say along the same lines as Christine, like just having that confidence and assurance around the financial plan. If I was going to completely oversimplify everything we're talking about, you know, the primary question for all of us around money is, am I okay? And is my family okay? And I always know the answer to that. You know, in the long list of things that keeps me up at night, my financial plan is not one of them. And that's a really nice feeling to have.
Yeah, fair enough. And Anna Marie, back to you.
Well, I would echo really everything that my colleagues have said here, but I think I might add that when you have a financial plan, it takes out the emotion that can happen when when there's uncertainty, when there's a crisis. And financial plan, you know, somebody has spent some time with you asking what's important to you, but it is the number crunching and the analysis. So if you combine that plan along with your own emotions and experiences and relationships and passions, I think the two together are very effective. And sticking with having a financial plan, it's like a roadmap. You're not going to get too far off track by being spontaneous, let's say, because you're experiencing there's something unusual in your life.
Fantastic. Well, we're running a few minutes ahead of schedule, which is shocking for all of us women. But I see that there's a number of questions already coming into the general chat, so keep them coming because we're going to spend some of our time on the end to make sure we address them. But in the meantime, this is my favorite part of the session, which is the networking session. So we have 15 minutes, and as you heard in the beginning, there's no breaking the system. So jump from table to table. We do have two IG lobby tables on either side with an actual, and we'll also put it in the general chat. There is an attachment there that can help you either position your questions and you have some strategies in terms of looking at your financial plan. So with that, we'll see you at the networking tables for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll be back to join together here on the in the discussion. So thanks for that. See you on the other side. Okay, here we go again, and hopefully, here comes the ladies back, and hopefully you are having a great conversations at your tables, as was I. So thank you for that. It was great to dig in and see a few familiar faces at the table. So and there we go. We're being joined by the ladies again. So let's kick it off again by doing another round of rapid fire questions. So this one's going to be a tough one for all of you, I know. But who's your go-to financial expert? Anna Marie.
So my go-to financial expert, really it's my colleagues down the hall. So anyone who's available that has experience, is keen on their education, I'm going, and I've recognized that in them. They're my go-tos.
Awesome, I love it. Shawna, how about you?
Well, can I say Christine, or would that be awkward? Yeah, much to Anna Maria's point, we're very, very fortunate in the industry that we work in, that we're surrounded by a wealth of experts. But outside of that circle, there's a couple that I like to read. And one is, I love the Financial Post. They're always publishing case studies that are real life scenarios that individuals are going through. And I think it's a great way to gain some insight into other people's financial lives. And I like Rob Carrick from the Globe and Mail as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. And so since you mentioned it, a favorite news source. Back over to you, Christine.
I'm going to say Apple News, because it gives me a good variety of different types of news and different types of providers. Although sometimes, I try to specifically click on different things because I don't want to always be getting the same type of story. But I do think it gives a good variety.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm being just reminded that when you're not speaking to jump on mute, since we're getting just a little bit of feedback. So thank you so much for that. And a favorite news source, over to you, Michelle.
Well, these days I'm watching Global National because up until recently I tried to stay out of the news. It's always bad news, and my kids couldn't handle it. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, fair enough. There's only so much room for that in one's day to day. So let's maybe switch gears here a bit. Podcast or book, Shawna?
I'm going to give you the same answer for both. Brene Brown. I've always been a huge fan of her writing, and I recently discovered her podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's fantastic. She's just one of those people who can take very complex subject matter and put it into nuggets that you just are so easily digestible. So her podcast has been a real COVID treat for me.
Fantastic. Actually, I listened to one with her last night, so agreed on that. She's fantastic. And Christine, podcast or book?
I would have always said book, and a couple of my favorite, I've got one favorite book. It's called Factfulness, and it was written by a statistician, which probably sounds boring, but he talks about how we always think of things in the negative and how the world is actually really improving. There's so many things in the positive that you should be looking at. And if you look at the numbers, a lot of things really are improving. So it was really sort of an uplifting and inspirational book. But I agree with Shawna. If you ask me a year from now, I might say podcast, because there are some really good podcasts coming up.
Yeah, fantastic. And I have to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that yours is also my favorite book, Christine. It's my go-to resource all the time. So, and look, Shawna probably has it pulling out on her desk right there. So great to have it. What are you currently binge watching? This is a really important question. Michelle, over to you.
Well, when my kids are up, I'm watching Modern Family because it's funny. And when they're not around me, I've been watching Yellowstone, which has been pretty awesome.
It's very good. It's very good. And I feel it's filmed right here in Alberta. So fantastic. Anna Marie, over to you. What are you currently binge watching?
My Netflix binge right now is Parks and Recreation. And I heard about that show for, years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's on Netflix. So I just love the main character, Leslie Knope. She's always positive, always looking to try and make life better. Things don't go well for her. She gets back on her horse, and she's got a sense of humor, and she's wanting the best in people. And I get a kick out of her, and it's funny.
No, that's awesome. That's great. Thanks so much for sharing. And we'll swing back to more serious questions. And the next one's for Christine. So one concern that, of course, is top of mind these days is elderly parents. And, especially topical, obviously, as 67% of care provided to older adults is done by women. And so it can be sometimes an awkward conversation, but it's important to make sure that they have the right financial and estate plans in place. So do you have any suggestions on how we break the ice on this, Christine?
Thanks, Alana. Yeah, I actually think that the current environment has provided the ultimate example of why you need to have a plan in place. And I think it's actually provided in and of itself a great conversation starter. And I usually tell people, don't start with the death and dying stuff. Don't start with the estate planning stuff. Start with, elder care and I know mom and dad, I've been reading a lot about long-term care facilities, and I want to make sure you go to the place that you want to go to. Have you talked to your financial planner about how much you might need to save to go into the long-term care? Or now, actually, IG just recently did a retirement survey, and it indicated that 63% of Canadians prefer to stay in their homes. So have you saved enough money for that to happen? Do you need care to come in? So it's just the ultimate opportunity to talk about that. And I think that once you start talking about that, and then powers of attorney and wills, the rest will come. But just environment as a door, that you can walk right through and talk to your parents about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, fantastic and well said. And I think such an important conversation. And I'm sure you've seen some scenarios where it would have been served to have those conversations in advance. We're going to go back to Anna Marie. And, we previously have talked about how women sometimes do not get involved in their household financial decision making, either because they're busy with the caregiving responsibilities, time constraints, or otherwise. Yet we know how important this is. So do you have any tips for the audience to help them get past that barrier and gain control over their financial well-being?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first step is you have to acknowledge and accept responsibility for your financial well-being, or I call it the business side of life. And we hear a lot today about self-care and how we've got to take care of ourselves. And generally I'd say that covers things like meditation, nutrition, fitness, social needs. And I think we need to add in there financial literacy and financial well-being. And so, at my age and stage, not so busy, but, the last 25 years, I've been going hard with career and family, and trying to be that mom that is checking off all the boxes, the sister, the neighbor, the friend, the colleague, etc. And so I 100% get why time can get away on you. But really, you've got to take time. You've got to book an appointment with yourself to get organized. Think about what's important, and just like you do with your dentist. I think for most of us, we don't like going to the dentist. You book that appointment, you show up, you get your teeth cleaned, you're good for another 6 months or a year. And it's kind of the same with your financial check-in. I almost think it's a mistake, but I understand how it happens. In a busy household, if we have a partner, we often divvy up the responsibilities. And that's okay if you give most of it to your partner, but don't not know what's going on. Don't give 100% of it. And this is never more clear than when there's a crisis like separation or a divorce or a death or a disability of the partner. So number one, take responsibility, get started. It's a little bit like an elephant, eat it one bite at a time. So if you look at the whole picture, it can be daunting, overwhelming, and we don't get around to it. So first thing is just start to make a list. What have I got to get done? What do I have to get done? What needs to be addressed? If you have a financial advisor, planner, ask them to make you an, I guess the term today is an action list. I always call it homework, and start knocking these things off. You know, some of my clients, they like to get through that list right away and get it done, and they're good till 6 months later when they see me again. Other people need to take one a day, one item a week, and they start to cross off. And you'll get to a point where you only have to fine tune what's going on in your life. Then about every 3 years, studies show that there's something significant happens in people's financial life. I call that a flurry of appointments where, okay, it's going to take 2, 3, 4 appointments to resolve this puzzle, to get the pieces in the right place before you can go on. And so those are some of the main things. Oh, I know, another idea that I really encourage people to do is to have a binder. I still like that binder that's got the tabs. And I was just recommending this to a very, very bright lady yesterday. We were on a Zoom meeting, and as I asked her questions about her pension, her notice of assessment, etc., she kept turning around and trying to find it in her files. She found the information, but it took time. And I encouraged her to just have a binder with tabs, the latest statement, put it under the tab. You get a new statement, take that old one out. You can keep your filing system, but have the binder where you can find things quickly. And that will minimize the amount of procrastination that enters the picture, and the I'll do it later kind of thing. If you can just grab that binder and address one of the things under the tabs that needs to be addressed, or you bring that binder into your financial planner and all the information is there, so you can get down to work really quick to fit those pieces of the puzzle together again. Don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes I think people are afraid to ask questions because they think that they're going to sound, dumb or not with it. I have a lady that I'm working with that's going through a divorce. She's 37. She's never had a credit card, never had any credit in her life. Married right out of high school. And you can probably get the picture of what very traditional relationship. She just didn't have access, nor did she take responsibility to get financially literate. And she is really lost now. But what's really neat, I give her homework, and she's getting on it. So she says, I should have asked. I should have known things, and she's so upset with herself. But we're getting her on track, and I think I'm kind of rambling now that I'm thinking of this lady. My point is, she's a very smart lady. She's doing her homework. She's taking guidance, and she's going to get on track and do really, really well. Those are some of the main things I would say.
Fantastic, Anna Marie. Thanks so much. I think really powerful points, because you're right. It does seem like a big daunting elephant, and I love the strategy around taking a piece at a time to really work through it. And like we like to say here at IG Wealth, it's a living plan. So that plan continues to evolve and change and needs to be revisited on a regular basis. So thanks so much for that. Michelle, we'll go over to you. This was a popular question, by the way, in the side chat already. It tends to be a popular question, but at this time of year, as we approach the March 1st RSP deadline, clients often ask if it's best to put extra cash into an RSP or another savings vehicle like a TSFA, or should they be paying down their debt? So any advice on how to evaluate this decision?
Well, a lot of people that I work with hate hearing this from me, but I always say, well, it depends.
Mhm.
It depends on your situation. It depends on what your taxable income level is. It depends on how much contribution room you have. It depends on what interest rate you're paying on your debt, and how risk averse you are with respect to your investments. As a rule of thumb, I typically recommend that if you're going to put money into an RSP, that there's really not a lot of benefit to you if you're contributing more than what brings your taxable income down to the lowest threshold, which is around $45,000. I think it's always a great idea if you have cash. I use my tax-free savings accounts for a dual purpose. I call it an opportunity fund as much as an emergency fund. So you can throw, you can have little baskets within your tax-free savings account for short and long and medium-term uses. And that way, if you're dealing with the question of paying off debt, it will depend on how much you're earning compared to how much you're paying. And so my answer really is it depends, and your situation is going to be different than someone else's.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess why it's always great to touch base with a financial planner and get some advice on that as well. Back over to you, Shawna. So many of us are taught from a young age, and I know we've talked about this with our families as well, to avoid talking about money. So like full stop, we're not going to talk about it. So any suggestions for the audience to help keep the conversation around wealth and well-being going beyond today's webinar?
That's a great question, and yeah, a topic that I know you and I are both passionate about. And I think, let's keep this in perspective. There are women alive today who weren't allowed to have a bank account in their own name without their husband's permission. And certainly within our own families and our own familial sort of history and ability to remember, neither one of my grandmothers ever earned $1 outside of the house. And so there is, some legacy that comes with the topic of money for women. That's an important one to acknowledge. And we're taught from, a really young age, or maybe socialized is the better word, that it's a bit of a taboo subject. And that doesn't happen with boys. They're more comfortable around the subject than women are. So it's important to acknowledge that history. And then it's important to start talking. It's important that we talk to our mothers, that we talk to our sisters, certainly that we talk to our daughters, our friends, and, to build a bit of a comfort level around that conversation, particularly when we're dealing with women whose care we may be involved in. And I think as women, we've tended to shy away from having those difficult conversations until, as Anna Marie said, we are in the crisis moment. That's not the time to start having those more sensitive discussions with our moms or with our daughters. They should be involved in and comfortable with those discussions from a much earlier stage. And I think as women, there's lots of opportunities for us to continue this conversation, to host this dialogue. Find your tribe. And if you don't have a tribe, go get one. Build it up with women who look like the women that you want to be. We're all a product of who we take advice from, who we hang around with. And so, maybe that's a professional network of women who are in similar earning stages as you. Maybe it's a friends network where, it's just, let's start a discussion. Let's have wine night or a coffee date once a month and chat about what's going on in the more, financial aspects of our lives. We don't have to talk about very personal specifics. I don't need to, share with my friends what my salary is, but hey, do you ladies have a will? When was the last time you updated it? Those are conversations that I think all of us benefit from. So I would say whatever it takes to build that tribe and build some comfort level around these discussions, we have an obligation to one another and certainly to the next generation of women to make sure that those conversations are ones that we're all comfortable participating in. I think as long as the subject remains taboo for women, we will remain marginalized from our finances as a society.
Yeah, so many great points there, and certainly on the cusp of shortly soon International Women's Day, a great opportunity to connect and start opening up these dialogues and having the conversations. So thanks so much. We're going to jump to our final question before we turn it over to the Q&A. And so I love this one. Here we go. If you could jump into a time machine and give your younger self one piece of financial advice, what would that be and why? So Michelle, let's start with you.
I would go back in time and tell myself to stop buying CDs because I have this massive collection and I can't even imagine how much money over the years I've spent, and put that money into savings instead, because it'd be, I'd be way ahead of the game right now. I'm sure we all have those like.
I love that and echo the problem. That's great. Christine, over to you.
Sorry, just waiting for my mic to go on. Yeah, I'd say, invest early and often, and just keep going. And I tried, when I was younger, but I would still say, keep at it, don't stop, and make sure that you keep always putting a little bit in, because I think the compounding and it does really help.
Yeah, fantastic. Anne-Marie, over to you.
I would say don't buy things that are a good deal. Just because they're a good deal. They don't last, like wait, take your time, buy quality, make sure you really need it and you need it or want it for a long time.
I love that. I have to say that when normally shopping at the Florida Outlet Mall with my mother, my dad always says, you can't afford to save any more money. So great advice. And Shawna, over to you.
I would say know your value. Understand what you are worth in the workforce, what your skill set is worth, and don't be afraid to ask for it. I think, if there's one piece of advice that younger me would have appreciated, it was one of those, having someone to help me negotiate starting salaries and demanding to be paid for, what we're worth.
Again, well said, on the cusp of important time of year with International Women's Day. So thanks for sharing that. We're going to go over to the audience questions. And so I'm going to bring in another colleague of ours, Audrey Beltry. Audrey, over to you to host us through some of the live Q&A.
There, just trying to get my mic to go on. A couple clicks it took. So the first question is for you, Anna Marie. I think we heard a lot about, creating a holistic plan is so vital for creating and empowering future success. So once you've built the plan, how often should you revisit it?
Yeah, so with my clients, generally it's at least once a year. For many clients, it's every 6 months. And I do get some feedback from clients, and this feels right with me as well, personally, is often 1 year is too long and 6 months is too short. Not enough has changed in the 6 months, but a year, you could kind of get off track. So I like 9 months, and but at least once a year, and definitely when anything significant changes. And unfortunately, there are times when that annual review, somebody says, oh, we did this or we did that, or I changed my job and I could have helped them. I could have helped them make better decisions. So I'd really recommend when something significant is happening that you lean on your financial advisor and ask them what their perspective is on it. Do they know any questions or have any resources that'll help you through with whatever whatever's going on in your life at that time?
Thanks, Anna Marie. That's awesome advice. for everyone out there today listening. Christine, we're going to go over to you for this question. We talked a little bit about structuring. You discussed structuring the estate and that not all estates are created equal. But you know, in your experience, are there some common pitfalls or mistakes that people can make regarding estate plans? And I guess more importantly, how can we avoid them?
Yeah, well, the number one piece of advice I give to clients is make sure professionals, particularly the right lawyer. I find that a lot of people will just walk down the street and, you know, pick the first lawyer that they bump into, and, you know, oh, I know this person. They represented, you know, my friend when she was getting divorced, or, you know, and I'm sure they're a fantastic family lawyer, but if you need an estates lawyer, that's not going to get you where you need to go. And usually, you know, if you speak to your financial planner, I was just thinking of Anna Marie, you know, it's like choosing your lawyer is a big decision. Talk to your IG planner and say, so who do you work with? Or talk to your tax accountant, or talk, you know, because they often will be involved in all sorts of industry things together. So pick the right advisor. And at the very beginning of the seminar, I was saying, look, you know, we now have access to anyone and everyone. So, you know, make sure that you're picking the right people, because it, you know, it amazes me how little effort people go into picking their advisors. And I say to them, you know, okay, so if you needed brain surgery, would you go to your GP and say, well, you know, that you're my doctor, you know, like I need brain surgery. You've got to do it. I'm not going to anybody else. I mean, when you think of the number of types of specialists of doctors out there, there's a similar number of specialists for lawyers. And you really need to make sure you pick the right person. So take some time and just look on their website. If they say, you know, they're the top criminal lawyer in town, well, that's great, but that's not what you need. Well, maybe you need that, I don't know, but depending on your needs, but, you know, make sure that you're picking the right person.
Thanks, Christine. And Michelle, we're going to go to you next. We had a question today just regarding, I mean, we had touched on it before about, you know, saving your RSP or saving your tax-free savings account. And one of the questions that was posed in the chat was, you know, how do you feel about saving in your tax-free savings account during the year and then moving that over before the RSP deadline?
Yeah, I quite often depend, and again, it does depend on your situation, but I mean, if you're in a situation where you have fluctuating income, for example, so you're not sure what your income is going to be at the end of the year, so you're not sure how much you need to put into an RSP, or if you don't have a very significant amount of emergency funds or something to fall back on should you need the cash. Because I mean, sometimes if you're putting all of your available cash into an RSP on a regular basis, and then something comes up, like your car breaks down or your furnace goes or something like that, if you have to pull the money out of your RSP, you've just sort of negated what you've done, and you've also lost the contribution room. So quite often I'll suggest put it into your TFSA, so that if you do have a need for it, you can get it more easily. And then if you don't use it, then you can make the decision on how much to put into your RSP. It's a little bit longer.
Thanks, Michelle. And Shawna, back to you. You, in the rapid fire, you talked about some places that you go for financial information, and then you talked about creating a tribe of people that you can gain financial knowledge and wisdom from. Do you have any tips for us out there on how to start building and creating this network?
Yeah. Well, tip number one, be brave enough to start the conversation. You know, again, when you sense that little bit of taboo, lean into it, lean over it, step on it, and just, you know, start talking to the women around you about topics that include finance. I would say, you know, if you're in a workplace and, you know, you all have the same benefits from work, you all are participating in the same pension, ask a group of friends, would you like to get together and really dig into this and figure out what are the things that that are driving the pension plan, what our benefits look like at retirement, how we can fully participate in it, you know, so that you've got some common ground. I think friends, again, another great place to start. Ask them if they would be interested in, you know, having a monthly networking event. There's not too many women who, when given the opportunity, will shy away from that, you know, monthly coffee date or that monthly get together. Maybe even something simple like a book club. and to say, you know, let's choose a book that we're typically not going to choose. We would normally pick up a great juicy piece of fiction, but this quarter or this month, we're all going to dig into a finance book and really open up a discussion and a dialogue around that. So the other thing is, you know, if you don't have that tribe around you, the internet is great at finding like-minded individuals. So find a group of friends on Facebook. I actually love Audrey Veltry's Instagram page. She gives weekly tips. It's Tip Tuesday, it's Money Monday. So just, you know, if the tribe is not where you are, the world is in our hands these days.
Great answer, Shawna. Thanks. Yeah, I think I agree. So thank you guys so much. I mean, it's just been an incredible hour spent with you guys. And I'm going to turn things back to Alana to wrap us up today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Audrey. And so this concludes our 4-part series, Women, Wealth, and Wellbeing, Empowering Women's Success. A huge thank you to our panel today for their time and sharing their expertise. Most importantly, thank you to our audience for joining us today. And a big thank you to those who invested their time in more than one of our webinars. We really appreciated your questions, your feedback in the chat, your value. I hope you found these insights valuable, and certainly I found it valuable being able to network at the tables with you. So if you would like to continue strengthening your financial future, there is the handout that I mentioned in the chat, as well as at the IG lobby tables that you might find helpful tools as you carry on these conversations and look to explore personal financial freedom or potentially career opportunities at IG Wealth as well. So thank you again. Please do stay well, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll turn it back over to Sherry.
Thank you, ladies. That was wonderful. Some great advice there. I really enjoyed this session. I think the best of all of them. They were all great, but this one in particular, you know, some really great advice around, you know, your holistic health, right? Not just always focusing on your health and your, you know, how you eat and everything, but this is really a big part of how we should be including that in our whole health. So I really thought that was a great advice to give us. So thank you. And also the will planning, right? I think that's something that, you know, I know myself, for instance, you know, you really got to keep that up to date. You know, life goes so fast, and every year you forget to look at, okay, where am I sitting right now, and how do I need to update that as well? So that was great. I really would encourage everybody out there, you know, thank you for attending today. I'd really encourage you to stay for networking. I think it's really important. These ladies, I'm hoping, will maybe go to the lounges and you can kind of connect with everybody at the lounges. Great series. I loved it, you know, from goal setting from the very first one to leading in adversity and defining your personal brand and now generating wealth. Really great series. I really appreciate the partnership, Alana. It's great to get to know you more and as a friend as well. So thank you so much for all that you've done in this series. And I want to ask a question, you know, for our audience, if they wanted to get more information or, you know, talk to somebody within your organizations, what is the best way for them to reach out and get a hold of you?
We're happy to be contacted anyway. You can certainly reach out to us either via LinkedIn. Certainly in the handout, there's a number of different links that you can either kind of connect through our website. Obviously, you're connecting directly between to any one of us via LinkedIn and or through WXN because we're members there too. So we're happy to facilitate that way as well, Sherry. Thanks so much.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, I think that's a wrap. I really appreciate it again, and I look forward to continue working with you in the future. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone.